You are listening to Horror Podcast with me, Shivraj. Friends, first of all I would like to tell you all that I am very late in bringing the story. But still, like always, without wasting time, let's start today's story. So let's start today's story. I don't know whether ghosts exist in this world or not, but some memories of the past always haunt you like a ghost. They trouble you. I have stored some such memories in my mind which were scarier than ghosts. And I did not know that after a few years these memories will become fresh again. Sometimes a small incident happens, but that incident brings alive the ghosts buried in the past. And then those ghosts sit on your neck to peek into your future. Actually, in my childhood, I liked my village house very much. But after the death of my brother and sister-in-law, I started getting scared of that house. Mother always used to do puja and used to remain locked in a room every day and night. My father was as good as non-existent even though he was there. He was always drunk. I still remember that day very well. I was very young then, but I saw with my own eyes a happy home turning into hell. Mother used to say that Bobby was mentally insane. But sometimes I feel that the reason for her madness must have been our home itself. After the death of my brother and Bobby, I barely passed the 10th standard examination and then left home and went to the city. Initially, I worked with some acquaintances, and after a few months I got a job in a mill. I had spent about 3-4 years working there. Meanwhile, I used to get letters from the village again and again, and in them I was always asked about my marriage, but I did not want to go home. Then came the one in 1938. This was the time when the houses I got in Mumbai started closing one by one. Around 1982, I barely survived for a few months, but whatever money I had was starting to run out. I had no choice but to return to the village. After 3 months, I went back to my village. After going to the village, I had my same scary house in front of me. The memories from that house were very scary, which I always wanted to forget, but I could never forget. After going home, my mother cooked food for me. While eating roti in the morning, Mother asked, "So what next? How long will this continue?" I did not say anything and shook my head as if I did not know anything. Baba was sitting nearby. He extended his hand for roti and said, "Get married as long as you have a job. No one will ask later." I looked at him and then at Bia's picture on the wall. Perhaps my mother understood what I wanted to say. She came forward and sat next to me. Forget those things now. Life and death are not in anyone's hands. If you get married, happiness will return to the house again. The brightness of the house will return. If you get married, you will have a cute child and everything will be fine automatically. Hearing these words of Mother, my anger increased. I pushed the plate aside in anger. He died because of you. We have lost him because of you. I don't know what you did to them, but whatever happened was very terrible. You could have saved them, but you didn't. Because of you 2 lives have been lost. Mother's face changed. She is a witch, she said angrily. She has taken my son's life. Even after death she did not get peace. While leaving she took my son with her. I had left the house without having my food. And now thinking about what will happen the rest of the day, I went towards my fields. Our land was barren. There was no one to farm at home. After my brother left, not a single crop was grown in the land. I sat there in the shade of a nearby tree. I closed my eyes and sat quietly. After some time I asked, "Are you awake or asleep?" I looked ahead and it was my friend Subhash. I got up and sat down rubbing my eyes. "Oh, I was just sitting like that and dozed off. But where are you here?" Subhash looked ahead. He just thought that he will visit his farm. Subhash then came near me and sat in the shade. During our conversation, I told him that my job is going on and that is why I have to come to the village. I have come to the village, but even here my mind is not at peace. As soon as I came home, my family members talked about marriage. I don't know why they don't understand that I don't feel like getting married at all. Subhash did not know completely what had happened in our house. But he knew about the death of Bobby. He explained to me that it has been 5 years since Bobby passed away, and how long will you live alone like this? Get married, and if you want, then go to Mumbai with your wife. At first I refused him, but then I started thinking that he had said the truth. How long will I live such a life? Someday I will have to get married, and I liked his words that I should get married and go to the city. After thinking, I said to Subhash that if you have someone, then do tell me. I will definitely think about it. And then after talking for a long time, we went our separate ways. Within a week, I came to know about a place. Her name was Rohini, age 17 years. She had studied up to 8th class. Within a few days, I went to see it with my friend. The program of seeing took place, and then I told at home. Mother was sad then, but later became happy. Father was also drunk at that time. He was dancing and was saying that happiness will come to the house again. The next day the talk of marriage took place, and it was decided that marriage will have to be done within 15 days, and then I got married. My life started afresh. Rohini was calm and sensible by nature. Mother did not talk to her much. In fact, I did not let her talk much. Whatever they talked about was only about work. I was keeping an eye on them, and one night Rohini asked me a question. There is a picture of Bia in your house, but there is not a single picture of Bobby. Why is that? I became silent and told her no, there is nothing like that. There was a picture of Bobby, but it must have got damaged. That is why it must have been removed and kept. Then came the second question. What does Maji keep doing alone in that next room all day? She had warned me on the very first day that I am not allowed to go in that room. Do not step in that room even by mistake. Why did she tell me so? I started thinking again. I knew that these questions would come up someday. But I had also decided that I would not tell her anything right now. Whatever I would tell her would be after I go to Mumbai. I again avoided the question and said that there is nothing special. There are her deities in that room. She does not like anyone going in that room. She thinks that her deities will become impure. You also should not go there. She again became silent, and after some time asked another unwanted question. What had happened to Bobby? I mean, how did Bobby die? Now I started thinking what to answer her. Somehow I avoided the topic and said, let it be. I have to know everything today itself. Just know this much, that nothing special had happened. It was just a small accident, but you go to sleep now. We will talk about this some other time. And I quietly turned over and went to sleep. To tell you the truth, I was not able to sleep. The horrible form of Bobby that I had seen that night was repeatedly coming in front of my eyes. Bia's dead body was floating on the water, but still I was trying to get away from all those memories, and those terrible memories were dragging me in their web again and again. And soon after that, the sound of crying was heard from outside. Hearing the sound, Rohini woke me up. Who is crying outside so late at night? I knew that it was my mother's. I listened to Rohini for some time and told her that mother is shocked by Bia's death. She keeps crying at night, remembering Bia even today. The next day Rohini was cleaning the house. She was looking at me again and again and asking me why mother has not come out of the room till now. But I was not answering her anything. After some time, the door of mother's room opened and mother came out. She looked absolutely normal. Looking at her face, it did not seem that she was crying the whole night. Seeing this, Rohini was surprised. Coming out, mother closed the room and sat in a corner. I kept doing my work with my head down. Lunch was over and mother went back to the room. I knew that father was allowed to go to that room, but he also went there only occasionally because most of the time he was drunk. And now I started preparing to go to Mumbai. I used to write to all the people I knew in Mumbai every day. And I used to ask about a place to stay there. But I did not get the desired answer from anywhere. Days were passing by, and despite not wanting to, I had to stay with Rohini in my house in my village. Almost a month must have passed, but I did not get any place to stay. Rohini used to ask me when we would go to Mumbai, and I used to postpone the matter by saying just a few more days. But she had not talked to me since this morning. She was angry since morning. Something had happened between her and mother. After doing all the work in the afternoon, I went to the market with Rohini. I was asking her what had happened, but she was not answering any of my questions. She was just silent. Finally, I stopped her and asked what happened. "Why are you not saying anything?" She said angrily, "I am scared of this house now. Bobby has died, but no one is telling me what happened to them. Your father is always out of the house. Mother also behaves very strangely. I am not allowed to go anywhere. A few days ago I peeped into Mother's room and Mother pushed me out of the door. I don't know what was my mistake. Yesterday also I accidentally talked about Bobby and Mother shouted at me. She said, 'Don't take the name of that witch in this house.' I don't know why she told me so. You are also not telling me anything about what happened to Bobby. And why are you all behaving so strangely? It seems that there is a ghost in this house which keeps hovering around every house." After listening to all her questions, I became silent. I had understood that now the time has come to tell her. Not everything but a lot, so I took her to a temple nearby, prayed to God there and then leave. We sat down under a tree nearby. I held her hand and said, "Look, I will tell you everything. But you promise that you will not take this to heart. You will have to bear all this for just a few more days. We are leaving this village soon. Just keep quiet till then."
Please like and subscribe.
She nodded in agreement, and then I did. And then I started telling her. Bia and Bobby got married 5-6 years ago. There was a lot of tension in the house. Bobby was not so used to worship. But along with Mother, she also started worshiping, even more than Mother. And one day she met some Baba. He gave her an idol for worship. But that idol was very different. And then one day some strange-looking Baba came to our house. He was very strange. Later we came to know that this is the same Baba whom she used to worship and adore day and night. That Baba gave some blessing to Bobby, then Bobby expressed the wish that she wants a child. And that too by his grace. Baba gave her a mantra and said that if you chant this mantra every night before going to sleep, all your wishes will be fulfilled. But after that day, Bobby's nature slowly started changing. One night we heard a thump on the door. We woke up, but then there was no sound. But Bia could hear some kind of sound. It was someone's voice and someone was chanting mantras as well. Bia got up and saw that Bobby was plucking her own hair and filling it in a vessel. Bia was shocked to see this and rather got scared. Bia started shouting at Bobby that, "What are you doing?" He said, "Have you gone mad?" On this, Bobby pushed Bia and said that, "I have received orders. The time for the first meeting has come. He has called me. If the meeting is not done, then there will be a disaster. You just stay calm and let me do my work." Bia had no idea what Bobby was talking about. Bobby picked up that vessel and started going out of the house. It was midnight by then, and we too woke up after hearing them.
Please like
We
and
all came out of our
subscribe to
rooms.
channel.
But Bobby's form had completely changed. When Mother tried to stop her, she pushed Mother hard. Mother collided with the wall. So hard that her head was bleeding. And she fainted. Even then Father was not at home. I was very young then, so Brother told me to follow Bobby and bring her back, and he took Mother to the hospital. I was walking behind Bobby on the footpath. It was dark that night. Still everything was visible clearly, the faint light of the moon was spread everywhere. Bobby was walking with utensils on her head and stamping her feet. While making sounds of hum-hum, I told her in a low voice from behind, "Bobby, Bobby, go home, Brother will get angry, go back home Bobby." She still kept walking. I was also very scared after seeing what had happened to Mother, but still I kept following her by keeping some distance. Going ahead, I again said, "Bobby, Bobby, go back, I am feeling very scared. Listen to me Bobby." She stopped suddenly and looking at me shouted that, "Go back or else I will sacrifice myself for you." And hearing her, I got goosebumps. All my strength was gone and I remained there like a statue. Her face was looking even more strange in the moonlight. She shook her hairy arm and again turned around. When she went away, I hid behind her. On going further, I realized that she was going towards the jail. I hid behind a tree and saw that Bobby kept the vessel in her hand on the bank of the lake, and she went and got into the water of the pond. Then she raised both her hands and started shaking them vigorously. At that time she was saying something. In a short while, a black shadow came out of the water of that lake. It started floating slowly on the water and started moving round and round around Bobby's body. I had no idea what was happening there. Then that black shadow took out hair from the vessel and started eating them. I felt very strange seeing that. After this, the shadow went back into the water and Bobby also came out of the water. Seeing Bobby coming out, I ran away from there, but then I did not go towards home. Rather, I went to the house of one of Bia's friends in the village. Actually, I was very scared to go home that night. I spent the whole night at Bia's friend's house. I had no idea whether Bobby went back home or not. When I woke up in the morning, Bia had come to take me home. I went back home with him. Mother was then sleeping in another room and Bobby was sitting in a corner and crying. And then while going home, I told Bia everything about the night. Bia was also sitting with his hands on his head because he did not know what had suddenly started in the house. He told Bobby to stop the worship of whomever she was doing, and he also explained to Mother. Because after that night, Mother did not want to keep Bobby in the house. Everything remained calm for a week, but the whole atmosphere of the house had changed. No one was talking to anyone. A few months passed like this. One night I heard the sound of a door opening again. It was of Brother's room. At that time I was sleeping on my side next to Mother. But Mother was in a very deep sleep. I got up and went near the door and peeped outside. I saw a black shadow going away from the house and Bobby was following it. Seeing that, my body started trembling. I came inside in fear and covered myself with a sheet. I don't know what happened next. I told that to Brother, and after that he kept an eye on Bobby. But then nothing like that happened for days. And then one day I saw a black shadow going away from the house and Bobby was following me. I saw something strange. I saw that Bobby was cooking food. I was near the door then. And maybe she didn't know that I was behind her. And then I noticed that Bobby took out a small thing from her waist and mixed whatever was in it in the food. Seeing that, I remember that the night I saw Bobby leaving the house, I was awake alone that night. Because I hadn't eaten food that day. It means that something similar is going to happen today as well. And then I decided that I won't eat food today as well, and I will tell this to Bia. But Bia wasn't at home that day. So I went to the village looking for him. I searched for him for a long time, but I couldn't find Bia anywhere, and neither did I find him. And neither did I get a chance to tell him anything. Finally, after it got dark, I came back home. I saw that both Mother and Bia were sleeping. I had decided not to eat food. But how could I tell Bobby that I wasn't going to eat food? Maybe she would have gotten suspicious. And then Bobby came to my room and told me to eat food as I had to wash the dishes. I was very scared of her, so I just told her to serve me a plate of food. I will eat in my room today. I have to eat. Bobby served the plate for me, and I took the plate and went to the other room. I went to the room and sat down facing the door so that if she comes to see me, she would think that I am eating, and exactly what I had thought happened. Soon Bobby came inside and started looking at me, and seeing me she asked if the food was finished. While washing my hands, I told her that yes, I had to eat, so I finished it quickly. She took that plate and went out. Actually, I had packed that food in my school bag. I closed the door of the room and went to my mother. I tried to wake her up, but she kept on saying hum hum. I did not know what was going to happen that night. My heart was trembling just thinking about Bobby. I kept lying quietly on the bed. Slowly, everything became calm. All the sounds stopped. Only the rustling sound of the night could be heard in that terrible silence. I heard it again. That padding. I slowly moved from my place. I slowly went towards the door and started looking out of the crack in the door. I saw that the same black shadow was walking ahead. The next moment, the door of the next room opened and Bobby also started walking behind that shadow wearing red. When she went away in the darkness, I slowly opened the door. and started walking in the same direction in the darkness. I knew where she must have gone. After some time, I went to the lake hiding. Everything was visible there, and suddenly I thought that today is the night of the full moon, and then I came to know one more thing, that all this happens on every full moon night. And after that, whatever I saw, my eyes were stunned. I felt a sting in my body. Bobby had got down in the water of the pond. She had kept both her hands up and her stomach was open. A black shadow was hovering around her. After moving around a few times, that shadow started caressing Bobby's stomach with its hand. I kept looking at it. Then I saw that one by one many black shadows were emerging from the lake water. All those shadows were caressing Bobby's stomach with their hands. Some shadows were pouring lake water on her. It seemed as if she was worshipping her, and I realized that this is a very good thing. What I was thinking was a normal incident. In reality, it was inhuman and beyond my imagination. Rohini was looking at me in surprise while listening to all this. She looked at me and said in between, "Oh my God, this is so horrible. So much has happened in your house and you kept it hidden from me till now." Rohini was angry with me. I tried to calm her down and said, "Rohini, don't get angry. Actually, I was going to tell you all this, but after leaving from here because I didn't want to scare you. Just don't think anything bad about any of this. It is just a matter of few days. We will soon leave from here." She too became quiet. And then after thinking for a while she said, "Okay, but now I have one condition. In any case, you will have to take me from here by tomorrow. Otherwise, I will go home myself." I felt very bad about her words, but I also had no way out. I started explaining to her again. "Rohini, understand what I am saying. It is difficult to leave by tomorrow. I have been staying here for the last 25 days. I am trying to find such a place in Mumbai. If you want, just give me 2-3 days more and I will definitely do something." And even though she did not want to, she agreed to my proposal. Then I slowly asked her if she wanted to hear the rest of the story. She looked at me angrily and said, "No, I do not want to hear anything. I am very scared." And then we quietly went home. When we reached home, Mother was lying on the bed. Her forehead felt hot. I went to her. "Mother, what happened to you?" Mother shook her head saying she is shivering. When I touched Mother's body, her whole body was shivering. It was burning like a furnace. "Oh Mother, you have a very high fever. Let's go to the hospital right now," I said, holding Mother's hand, but Mother took her hand. "No, let it be. We will go tomorrow morning. I have to stay tonight. Anyway, it is dark now." But her health was very bad. So I lifted Mother from the bed and said, "Not tomorrow, your health is very bad right now." Then I told Rohini to stay quiet for a while. And then I took out my cycle and made Mother sit behind the cycle, and we started towards the hospital. I had no idea whether Rohini would be okay alone at home or not. But at that time nothing was on my mind. While returning home, it became dark on the way. I put Mother to sleep in her room, and suddenly my attention went to that closed room. The door of the room was open and the key was there. I got scared after seeing that. I quickly went and closed the door and then started looking for Rohini. I gave her the keys and went towards the kitchen and peeped inside and saw Rohini sitting there cooking food. But then I saw that she had changed her clothes. At that time she was wearing red-colored clothes. Red-colored and jewelry on it. I went close to her and hugged her from behind and said, "Rohini, Rohini, you are looking very beautiful in this." I was hugging her. Just then I heard a voice from behind. "Where are you?" This was Rohini's. I got nervous. I looked back and saw Rohini at the kitchen door. I looked ahead and there was no one there. I stepped back in panic. Rohini came to me in fear. "What happened? Why are you so scared seeing me?" I was cooking here." I was unable to utter a word. She was also surprised to see me. "What are you talking about? Tell me properly. I am not able to understand anything." My attention went to her. She was wearing red-colored clothes. I got suspicious. But I controlled my nervousness and asked, "Whose clothes are you wearing? Who gave this to you?" She said while touching her jewelry, "I have bought it myself." What happened was that when you had gone to the hospital with Mother, I saw that the key of the room was left on the bed. I was about to keep it safely when suddenly I heard something from inside. I thought, what is the harm in just opening the door and looking once? And so I opened the door and peeped inside. There was a black stone-like figure. I was surprised to see it. Because you used to say that Mother worships God. But there was no God there. Then I saw a truck nearby. I opened it and saw that inside it I found these ornaments. See how beautiful I am looking, right? And saying this, she made a sound with her hand. Hearing that, Bobby's words of that night started echoing in my ears. Remembering all this, I shuddered. "Rohini, take this off right now. Take off these ornaments too. Put everything back where you took it from." "But why? Doesn't this look good?" "No. Because all this belongs to Bobby." Hearing this, Rohini's face turned pale. She ran to another room. Mother was still sleeping in her room. So she did not know anything about what happened there. Rohini went inside the room and I started waiting for her outside the door. She closed the door to change. But even after a long time, she did not come out. I was calling her outside. "Rohini, Rohini, hurry up, come out quickly." I was calling her in a very low voice so that Mother would not know anything. But even after a long time, Rohini did not come out, nor did she make any sound from inside. I slowly opened the door.
Please like
I pushed the door and tried, but the door was locked from inside. Now I was feeling angry and scared too. For the next 10-15 minutes I kept waiting for her, but Rohini did not come out. Slowly fear started to settle in my mind and strange thoughts started coming to my mind. Finally I shouted and said, "Rohini, Rohini, come out quickly, or else I will close the door." Hearing me, Mother came to the door of the other room. She touched near her waist and felt. And she realized that there was no key in her waist. Her face turned pale. She quickly came out and stood near the closed door. She looked at my face and realized that something strange had happened there. She started looking at my face and then at that closed door in panic. Just then there was a knock on the door from inside, and along with it a strange laughter was heard. Mother's face became even more frightened. She went closer to the door and called softly, "Sumdi." A strange laughter was heard from inside again. And then my whole body trembled. Because of the name my mother had taken. It was my sister-in-law's. Then I told Mother that Rohini is inside. Mother nodded nervously and said just one word, "Sumdi." And then a current passed through my body. A strange sound was heard from inside along with laughter. "You have come again. Because of you I had to kill my son. I had promised you that whenever there will be an atmosphere of sorrow in this house, I will come back. I will bring mourning to this house. See, I have come again to mourn in this house." She started laughing loudly again. And Mother started crying in fear. "Are you not satisfied with taking my son's life? Why are you torturing us? Why don't you kill us and go away?" I did not know anything about what was going on between them. I was just worried about Rohini's life, but then Mother pushed me and said, "Go right now and find Baba and bring him, only he can stop him. Baba knows the mantra to control him." And I went into deep thought. What is Mother saying? And I asked her in surprise, but where would Father be? Anyway, he is always under the influence of alcohol. What will he do by coming here, and where will I search for him? Mother shouted at me, "Muhurki is not under the influence. After your brother's death, he has been influenced by negative energy. He is always under that influence. And to reduce that influence, he goes to the temple. Go to the temple, you will find him there." All this was new for me. Because for so many years I thought that Father was an alcoholic. And that is why he does not spend much time at home. Today I was surprised to hear this from Mother. I quickly took my cycle and went towards the village temple. Mother had closed the door from outside. After some time I came back with father. Mother was sitting at the door. As soon as we reached near the house, father got down from the cycle and went inside the house and touched the door of the room with his hand. He closed his eyes and started mumbling something, and then he said, "Cindy, why have you come back here?" There was a sound of laughter coming from inside. Dad then said to her, "Cindy, we don't want to trouble you. We don't have any such wish. Whatever happened was very bad. But leave us to ourselves, go back." Another laugh was heard from inside. And then the sound of someone falling. Dad quickly opened the door and went inside. Rohini was unconscious nearby. I picked her up and brought her out, and then Dad told Mom to first replace her. "Take off all these jewelry and keep everything back where you took it from." I took Rohini to another room. Mom took off her replacement jewelry and kept it back at the same place from where she took it. And then we all came out. We sat together there. Dad, Mom, and me. Dad then calmly told me, "Take Rohini away from here. You have to leave from here right now. It is not appropriate for her to stay here now. Rohini has made him feel her presence by touching his things. She will come again. She will return as soon as she gets a chance and will take him away." Actually, I was very angry with my family, because they were responsible for all this. I got up from my place in anger. "Okay, I am leaving. But you all are responsible for all this, and remember that I will never step into this house again." Saying this, I went to the inner room and started packing my things. Then I saw that Rohini had regained consciousness. "See me packing," she said. "How did I reach here? What happened to me?" I sat beside him, and while caressing his head, I said to him, "It's nothing, you were just feeling dizzy, so I have made you sleep here to rest. You just take rest for a while. I am going to take you to the hospital." Even then I did not want to tell him what had happened there, and so I told him the reason for the hospital, and I started packing again. Actually, I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. I came out to find other stuff and started looking angrily at my parents. At that time, father signaled me to come to him. I looked at him angrily and said, "I am ashamed that I was born in this house." I said this, and at the same time mother raised her hand to hit me. Father quickly took her hand. And calming down, he said to me, "Son, you are right. But before leaving, listen to one thing from me. So that there is no doubt in your mind, every mother loves her child. You were very young. You don't want to bear or see all this, so we kept you far away from all these things. Maybe you will also remember that all this started that day when that Baba came to our house. He came home and whispered some mantras in Cindy's ears and went away. Later we came to know that they were already worshipping that Baba. It was not Mother's fault at this time. Mother had explained a lot to her and tried a lot to stop Cindy. But she still continued to worship him. Actually, that Baba had cast such a spell on her that he used to listen to everything she said. And I came to know one thing later. That Baba had a bag. And in that bag there was a part of the devil. Cindy had seen it, and after that she forgot everything. She used to worship that devil. She used to follow his orders. One day I saw the Baba leaving. While leaving, that Baba put the part of the devil in that lake, and he went to the village. I tried to look into the lake, but I could not see anything. A few days after that, Bia stopped Cindy from going out at night. Then she injured your mother and went to worship the devil. Later, she started mixing something in the food in the house, so that she would not be interrupted when everyone was fast asleep. Then she would go to the lake, about which you told us a few days later. And then you also saw some strange powers or shadows moving their hands on her stomach, right? I told him yes. On this, he further said, all this was the devil's game. After a few days, she stopped going to the lake, because she realized that the people at home have come to know what she was doing. So, she would go to the jail after mixing something in the food. And after that day, Mother started cooking food at home. Then suddenly one day Bia realized that Sundi was pregnant. She was pregnant, about which she had not told us anything, not even Bia. But somehow Bia came to know, and then Sundi confessed that she was pregnant. But the most surprising thing was that one day he went to the doctor. Bia was also with him then. But he did not let Bia know what happened there. At that time I had no idea what was happening at home. One day I met the same doctor in the temple. He and I knew each other well. He casually asked me, "How is your daughter-in-law?" I told him that she is fine. Then he said that he is very sad about what happened to his daughter-in-law. Her child died in the womb, and this is the most painful thing in the world for a mother. I was surprised to hear his words, and asked him again, "Did the child die?" He said yes, and then he told her to take the child out of the womb, but then she told the doctor that she wanted to go to her maternal home and that she would do all this after going to her maternal home. That is why he did not say anything to her. And after hearing all this, my mind stopped working. I was very scared. Then I did not say anything to him, because if the child had died long ago, so he was still growing in her womb. The next full moon night, I deliberately asked everyone to go to Jagrata. That day you had gone to your maternal uncle's house, and I knew very well that somebody would not come with us to Jagrata. And that is what happened. She refused to come with us. We quietly left the house at night without telling her anything. After that I hid and followed her. As usual, she left the house at midnight wearing red and jewelry and went to the lake. There she got into the water. And when she raised her hand to point at something, I saw that something had come out of the lake water. It was a strange shadow, just like you had told us. That strange shadow was waving in the water. Then he slowly came above the water. He circled around Cindy and then took his hand to her stomach. Her stomach suddenly started moving. At that moment, I realized that a part of the devil was growing in her stomach. Seeing that scene, I did not know what to do. I immediately went to my guru. I went to the doctor. I told him everything that had happened, everything that was happening. He gave me a mantra to stop it. After this, I went to the doctor as per his advice. Guruji had said that first of all, that part of the devil should be taken out from her stomach, and after that he had asked me to bring it to him. So then I went to the doctor and told him the whole incident, and also told him that the creature was still growing in her stomach. But I knew that she would not go to the hospital, and that is why I asked the doctor to come home. The next day the doctor came home. We all had made preparations. But as soon as Sumi saw the doctor, she came to know what was going to happen next. She locked herself in this room. We tried to convince her a lot, but she was not ready to come out. Finally, I controlled her with the power of mantra, and then after some time she set herself on fire along with that part of the devil. She burned herself. But before burning herself, she hid her jewelry in a box, and then she said while crying, that this house will become childless forever. Because of you I am taking the life of my child. But there will always be mourning in this house. She will come again and again. And then she died. By the time we went inside, her whole body was burnt. That whole night there was a black shadow on the house. Something very bad was going to happen. The same night we went back to our Guruji and told him the whole incident. He invoked that power and then told us that the curse of a dead mother is very dangerous. He gave me a mantra for this and told that every full moon night mourning will have to be done at home. That is, every full moon night mourning will be done in her name in the same room by wearing her other jewelry. By doing this she will feel that there is no happiness in the house. There is mourning in the house, and she will stay away from this house. A few days after that your brother, the part of that burnt devil, had gone into the lake. But he never came back. In the evening it was found that her dead body was floating in the lake. The people of the village thought that we had killed her by burning her, and you were also thinking the same. But at that time the doctor was with us, and he knew what the truth was. You have also thought the same till today. That all this is our fault. All this has happened because of us. But the real thing is something else. And that is why I am telling you now. She will come back as soon as she gets a chance. You go from here with Rohini. We both will see what to do next. I was surprised at your father's words. I was not able to understand anything that what I was thinking about him till today. My mind was shaken. I got up from there and went to the inside camera and started waking up the Rohinis. Rohini, come on, we have to get out of here. She got up smiling and started walking with me. Coming out, we touched the feet of mother and father. I greeted them and started going away from the house. After going away, we had almost gone out of the village. Rohini was very happy. She was walking with me holding my hand. And there was bright moonlight on us. I asked, looking at her in the moonlight,
Please like and
Rohini, it
subscribe
seems that
Horror
today
channel.
is the night of the full moon. See how calm and cool the light is everywhere. She smiled looking at me and smilingly said, yes, I know. I once again held her hand tightly. Yes. Rohini. I told you that day. That the day we give this house to this village, then I will tell you the rest of the story. And now I know the truth. I know the whole story. If you say, I can tell you the rest of the story. She smiled again looking at me and said again, I know this too. I was surprised. What? You know the story? A strange smile spread on her face, and looking into my eyes she said, I told you all that there will always be mourning in this house. And then suddenly her body started looking like smoke in the moonlight. And in no time she disappeared in front of me like smoke in the air. Rohini. I started looking here and there like a madman and started calling her, but no one was with me. I did not have the strength to cry. Rohini was nowhere to be seen. I ran towards home. I reached home shouting, Rohini. My parents were also scared to see me coming. I pulled Baba and asked, Dad, where's Rohini? Where's Rohini? I was looking for her here and there. I was looking in every room. I was everywhere, but Rohini was nowhere. Just then my friend Subash came from behind and said, running, come to the lake quickly. I asked him what happened. But he just said this much.
Please like and
Just come to
subscribe
the lake.
Horror channel.
I also cannot tell you anything. We both started running towards the lake. My parents were also running behind me. In a short while we reached the lake and I looked ahead. There Rohini's lifeless body was floating on the lake water, cold and lifeless. And our house was again in mourning.